Hi there, welcome. I'm Bob Thompson, and I'd like to welcome you to the Philanthropic Planner program. Philanthropic Planner has been around for a while. I guess we're somewhere in starting our 9th year. And the design, the intent, the purpose of producing this program is to kind of have a meaningful, friendly dialogue about the importance of philanthropy to the community, talking about philanthropy in terms that are friendly, that we take the legalese away from it. We share with you what other people are doing. We talk about various forms of philanthropy, volunteering, various ways of gifting. We talk about social capital, some terms that normally we're not exposed to, and we want to kind of simplify the complexity of philanthropy in its bigger picture. We kind of want to take a snapshot and a moving picture, current speaking, and our life stages and that kind of thing. But we'll get into that a little bit more. I'd like to welcome you if you're a first-timer. And for those of you surfing back and forth between the Red Sox and the Yankees, we're in hockey season now, and maybe you're a basketball fan, but in between, intermissions, commercials, or whatever, for you repeat viewers, temporarily, quick 15 seconds. Hi, how you doing? Welcome back. So welcome. We've got a lot to cover today. If you've seen us in the past, you know I struggle with the title, and we kind of joke around a little bit, try to have fun with a boring subject that philanthropy is with a lot of people. It only takes crazy people like me to think that talking about philanthropy is fun, that it's important enough to set aside some time every week, every month to talk about it. But the title today is The Riceman Cometh. Now, the Riceman Cometh came about probably sometime late last night or early this morning, but we'll get into why I arrived at that. What happened to spring was a part of my thought, because here we are in May. The day before yesterday, early in the morning, it was 38 or 39 degrees. I'm thinking, what happened to spring? So I toyed around with the idea of having what happened to spring as a part of the title, but the Riceman Cometh kind of preempted that. Philanthropy right around the corner came up a couple weeks ago. We had a client talk about, well, Bob, it's just around the corner, and somewhere in between a dream and a nightmare or something, I thought about, well, it's just around the corner. So maybe spring is just around the corner. If we have spring, we're going to go from a mild winter to right into summer. But let's get into local news first. We've got some local news that I'd like to talk about. And one, rather than the Chronicle of Philanthropy, which we usually start with, I'll talk about Simsbury News a little bit. On this week's issue of Simsbury News, we have some local philanthropic news. This particular article on the front page is about Redstone Pub and celebrating their 2nd anniversary. And the investors in the Redstone Pub, I think there are 12, 13, 14 of them, have taken over and restored some nice site. And if you're by that way, or if you want to go to a local pub, visit Redstone Pub. But the significance of their 2nd anniversary as far as the Philanthropic Planner program is that we had a couple of state representatives and some local politicians, council, Mary Glassman, John Hampton from the 16th district, and the state representative, in citations, citing the Redstone Pub and its its owners. And John Hampton, in his citation, said, "We hail your contribution to the business community and your philanthropic initiatives, your efforts to enhance the quality of life through incredible, beloved local pub. We're proudly acknowledging and celebrating your efforts." Well, you know Bob, he would catch this philanthropic initiatives, and reading further in the article, over the 2 years, they've raised over $10,000 for charities, Gifts of Love, Farmington Valley Watershed, the ABC House, Susan G. Komen Foundation, and others. So we recognize Redstone Pub. Visit when you get a chance. It's a nice little place to relax and talk, and you might even talk about philanthropy. Sorry about that. Also in the Simsbury News, we had another article about some concerts, Hartford concerts, and there are 2 or 3 concerts taking place. In fact, I think this week. If some of these concerts are raising funds, I understand, for La Plata, which was flooded. That's in Buenos Aires district in Argentina. And La Plata lost a lot of lives. The flooding there was devastating. And these concerts, the Hartford concerts, are raising money. The purpose of the concerts is to raise money for these people impacted by the flood. And participating in these concerts, the Archdiocese of Hartford, Rotary Club of Avon Canton, the Hart School of Music at the University of Hartford, New Haven Chorale, New Haven Symphony Orchestra, the Mendelssohn Choir, and these concerts are at the Cathedral at St. Joseph's College, and we thought we'd recognize that because we know that when we have disaster like that, people come together, they're conscientious and caring enough to raise money for disasters like the flood in Port La Plata. On a state level, what caught my eye the other day was a gift by a former UConn basketball great, Emeka Okafor, gifting $100,000 to the new basketball training facility. Emeka has had a great NBA career since he graduated from UConn, a scholar athlete, I think a straight 4-point honors student. And this isn't the first gift that Emeka has given to the university. A few years ago, Emeka gifted $250,000, a 5-year pledge, $50,000 a year, but $250,000 to the college or Department of Education. So here's another $100,000 from Emeka for the basketball facility. We have other state recognition. We have a number of races, marathons, half marathons, 5Ks, and so on that are going on in the good weather to raise money for causes. And we're always looking at those, encouraging people with the runs, the walks, the cycling, and so on. On a national level, what caught my eye, I think in the Chronicle, was that we just finished tax season, and the Obamas, President Obama and his wife Michelle, gifted about 1/4 of their adjusted gross income, a little more than $150,000, to 33 different charities, the largest being almost $100,000, but 33 charities benefiting from gifts from the president and his wife Michelle. Vice President Joe Biden and his wife Jill, on the other hand, gifted about $7,000 that represented about 1.5% of the adjusted gross income. So you see both of those gentlemen and their families and their gifting efforts. If I had a message for Vice President, no, I won't go there. The Boston bombing, the marathon bombing situation has generated a lot of concern, security concern about some of these events that I mentioned, and where you get a large group of people at a sporting event or a fundraising, in this case, fundraising events that we talk about. The event planners are looking a little bit more at security because of the Boston Marathon bombing. And we had the Pan Am Challenge, which is a annual cycling event put on to raise money for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the Jimmy Fund specifically. And this program has raised tens of millions over the years, and there are hundreds of participants every year that get pledges from friends and associates, business associates, and as they cycle, and it's quite an event. And we've been involved indirectly with staff and some clients that participate in the Pan Am Challenge, and we recognize that. But what caught my eye was the security issue, because we're talking about hundreds of miles in this cycling event, and the spectators and the participants, the support people that are involved in that cycling event. So in addition to that, the American Cancer Society Relay for Life. Relay for Life last year raised over $408 million all across the country, Relay for Life. A very, very successful program that American Cancer Society has been emphasizing, knowing that their Daffodil fundraising and some of the other events. But this Relay for Life has really blossomed. American Diabetes Society, another one. The Tour de Cure last year, $27 million raised. Susan G. Komen, I mentioned before, Race for the Cure, and the millions of dollars that are raised there. You've got other organizations, ALS, Walk to Defeat ALS, another 22 million. So these events and the participants, the number of participants is overwhelming. I mean, the figures are staggering. All for the causes, the events, and raising tens of millions of dollars. On the national basis, or on the national area, we again have to revisit what Congress is doing, what they're contemplating and doing. We see and hear again more about tax reform. We have a debt limit that expires at the end of this month, May, if you're viewing this later. This is being taped for programs in May. But the debt limit is kind of before we get to some serious discussion about tax reform and the significance in part of the tax reform. Well, let me back up for a second. Senator Backus is from Montana, has just indicated that he will not run again in an election in 2014. Now, this has kind of freed up his focus. He doesn't have to campaign again, doesn't have to raise money for his own campaign. And his comment for the next year and a half certainly is to devote his time and attention coordinating on the House side some meaningful tax reform. Now, in that tax reform, we're certainly talking about issues of mortgage interest deductions and charitable deductions. And the feedback that we're getting on both houses, or from both houses, is that those particular issues are going to be hard to greatly modify. The administration, President Obama, looks at some of these mortgage interest deduction and charitable deductions as loopholes. Now, I've said in previous programs, I kind of question the use of terms such as loopholes having a negative connotation, and there are a lot of loopholes that we have to close. But when you get to a charitable deduction and referring to it as a loophole, I kind of question the phraseology, the terminology there. We need tax reform. We need to seriously look at some of these issues, loopholes certainly, and look at expenses, look at revenue and that kind of thing. But a mortgage interest, we can currently deduct mortgage interest on our residence. We're looking at interest on $1 million for residents. Home equity line, kind of a limit of $100,000. But we're looking at issues of refinancing because the interest rates are so low now. There's this wave, this flood of refinancing consideration activity because of the low interest rate. But where we have refi and cash out, in addition to refinancing the existing mortgage balance, but taking a cash out, some members of Congress are saying, whoa, let's limit it to that amortized figure of refi, but let's look a little differently, if we can, at the cash out aspect of it. So there's some, the appearance, at least, from our perspective, of looking at tax reform with more realistic lenses, glasses, and we hope that both sides can have some bipartisan, meaningful effort there. So I wanted to share that with you. It looks like the hurdles of mortgage interest and charitable deduction may be sacrosanct in some respect. If we look at other considerations, existing law is for those reaching 70 and a half and having qualified IRA monies, and being allowed to, out of our required minimum distribution figure, directly take some of that money as a part of our charitable contributions. And if you recall, we had a 2-year gap, 2-year hiatus from that provision. We reinstituted it at the end of last year. And we are familiar, and we're familiar with colleagues' stories of their clients also taking advantage of contributing directly to the charity rather than receiving the money out of the required minimum distribution, paying taxes on that, and then contributing that to charity. We're kind of eliminating a step there, and we don't get the deduction like we would for the charitable contribution, but when you figure in and crunch the numbers on the tax and the bottom line going directly to the charity, we think that's something to save in this tax reform. Now, when I get to my Riceman Cometh part of the program, I was reminded here a couple weeks ago of a gentleman that we met 3 or 4 years ago who last fall said, Bob, you know, my planning is right around the corner. Visiting with legal counsel, with attorney, drafting, doing my legal documents and so on. But let me share a little story with you about Benjamin. Benjamin doesn't like, he likes to be referred to as Ben. And if I share a little bit about Ben's story, Ben retired recently, last year, single. His only sister, his only sibling, died a number of years ago and left two children. Ben has a niece and nephew that he considers almost his own children. They have been very, very close since their mother died, and the world revolves around the niece and nephew's families, their respective families. They get together for family events, dinners, and socializing. And when we inquired during discovery period with Ben several years ago about his family and what his interests were, and this was all leading up to reviewing and maybe doing a new will. And the subject of niece and nephew came up, and Ben wanted in some way to incorporate in his planning and his legal docs niece and nephew gifts. He's made periodic annual gifts to the children of niece and nephew, college savings type of things. But this was more estate planning and so on. So Ben last fall said, you know, Bob, it's right around the corner. You know, I've got this planning being done. Well, an interesting thing has come out of this relationship. If we took Ben's estate, his estate roughly, if we cut it in thirds, is IRA 401k rollover, his personal investments, and his home. And if I said, and I'm rounding these figures up, if we said Ben's estate is $1.5 million, and we split it into thirds, that's 500,000, 500,000, 500,000. What Ben has decided on doing is, and I forgot to say, in his annual tax return, he does have charities that he gifts to every year, and he wants to include the charities in his legal documents. Well, 1/3, the plan is to take 1/3 of his estate, and over the next 10 years, and we talked about this in laddering charitable gift annuities. He liked that idea. Ben really, this concept, this strategy resonated with Ben, and he said, I like that. Let's do the figures. Let's get the plan in place. So right around the corner that Ben was referring to is 2013 is the first year of the 10-year plan to get a charitable gift annuity. And if you recall, about 70% of Ben's income from that charitable gift annuity is excluded from tax, okay? Put that aside. The middle third is his 401k IRA rollover. And in his will, Ben has said, we're going to have a testamentary gift annuity for niece and nephew. Forgive me, but this is an exciting estate plan for Ben. And when we talk about his goals, his concerns of health insurance costs while he's alive, tax while he's alive, inflation while he's alive, and taking this plan and securing him with a comfortable life income in retirement to take care of his longevity. And we look at his charities, but not forgetting Ben's niece and nephew. And when we incorporate and look at this entire plan, Ben was really excited about it. He says just the income stream that's generated with these 10 charitable gift annuities during his lifetime. Oh, by the way, when we look at the numbers and look at a testamentary gift annuity, if Ben lives another 5, 10, 15 years, niece and nephew also will be 5, 10, 15 years older. So it's when Ben passes and the ages of niece and nephew then, and the charitable gift annuity calculation then. Niece and nephew could receive maybe 6, 6.25%, 6.5% income. And when we look at the exclusion ratios of both Ben during lifetime and the ultimate gifts to charities, Ben was really, really pleased. I wanted to share that with you, and it really was one of Uncle Ben and his goals, and Uncle Ben's, and forgive me, I'm going to get flack on this. Ben is going to be embarrassed that I keep referring to him as Uncle Ben, but niece and nephew do, and there's a lot of love in that family. I want to come back a second to what happened to spring. I got to tell you that this time last year, we were already in the garden and the yard almost 7 to 8 weeks. In the middle of March, we had 78, 80, 82 degree temperature, and we were way ahead of getting all of the yard work done. And here we are in May. We've got snow in the Midwest. My daughter sent me a Facebook picture of a foot and a half of snow on her back deck yesterday, and her comment is, it's still coming down. And I'm thinking, what happened to spring? Now, we had a mild winter. I was going to have earmuffs, 39 degree temperature in the morning. When I get the paper and I'm saying, what happened to spring? Well, right around the corner, it's coming. And I want to assure you that flowers will come up, the hosta will come up. We'll shoo the deer away from the hosta and the flowers. But it's right around the corner. Spring will be here, short, and then we'll have summer probably tomorrow. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next. Oh, write out that check to Simsbury Community TV. They'd appreciate it. See ya. Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.